Kind of Funny Live 2 is happening May 28th and 29th. It's a 2-day event. The first day is going to be a completely ridiculous stage show. What we have planned this year completely blows last year out of the water. And I don't even know how that's possible because we were really stupid last year, and this year's somehow even stupider. Day 2, it's going to be full day of meet and greets. We're hanging out with all of us. A bunch of Rooster Teeth people are there. Funhouse people are there. Achievement Hunter. It's going to be a grand old time. There's going to be some games to play. There's going to be signings. It's exciting. It's a really fun time. There's going to be exclusive merch. Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be exclusive merch. Go to kindoffunny.com/tickets to get your tickets today. There's a couple VIP tickets still available, so make sure if you want one of those, you act fast.
Tim.
And then you're going to be real scared.
What's your topic?
So a couple days ago, I went to this establishment called Safeway, and I was buying some stuff. And as I was, checking out, there's magazines to my left and right. Obviously, Cosmopolitan catches my eye because it always catches my eye.
Of course.
But
Sexy
next
sex
to
tips.
it, there was, I don't even know what the fuck it was. It was National Enquirer or some shit. Next to that was Globe. Next to that was who the hell knows.
Weekly World
Same
News.
shit,
The
right?
tabloids.
The tabloids. And the three of them said, in order, Prince discovered dead by AIDS. Prince murdered. Prince suicide. And I'm just like, holy shit. How are these magazines still a thing? Who the fuck is the audience for them? How is that legal? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting questions about the. I don't know the answer to them. I'll tell you that when I was like 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I get my mom to buy me the National Enquirer sometimes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too. I was a big Weekly World News fan too, knowing it was fake, but wanting to see what Bat Boy was up to.
Yeah, this has been honestly a question since I was since the 80s. Since I remember seeing that and asking like what, like, because you think when you're a kid, you're like, wow, that's crazy. That's got to be real, right? Similar to how everyone thinks anything they read on the internet is real. But your mother is like, no, because when I was a kid, it used to be like aliens. It was always aliens, right? Aliens are flying over Ohio. And you're like, oh, mom, those aliens are real. She's like, that shit's bullshit. They just make that stuff up. And I'm like,
But
how? It's on. It's presenting itself as a creditable like news source. And she's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Just read like something better, like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. I'm like, well, I'm not going to read either of those.
That sounds like a lot of work, Mom.
It's a lot of words.
What's interesting about what we're saying here is that when you're a little kid, that stuff is appealing because they're making shit up and that made up shit sounds interesting.
Right.
But little kids aren't the ones buying this shit. So if you convince your mom to buy it, cool, that's one thing.
No, it's probably older people. Probably, if I had to guess demographic, and I don't want to sound insulting, I would guess older women were probably the ones buying this.
I mean, yeah, because the only my exposure to it was
Right.
always a babysitter,
Right.
An aunt, somebody like that who was picking it up.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of do you. I respect your choices and stuff, but I feel like I'd be real judgy if I saw someone buying a National Enquirer. Like, what the fuck is that?
I think it's one of those things. Like at this point, I don't know why people buy them. I would hope that they're buying them for just the sheer entertainment value of it, and not actually buying into whatever messaging is coming from this. It's similar to me, like when my wife reads Us Weekly or any of those sort of like rag gossip like magazines that report real stuff. But it's always like, it's all very superficial.
There's a difference there, though.
There is.
That to me,
but
that is just as valuable as this shit we do here.
Yeah,
like,
but my wife doesn't read Who Wore It Best because she really gives a shit, right? I mean, it's just for the entertainment value of it. It's throwaway content. It's very cheaply consumable, easily consumable content.
Nicholas, may I read to you from the New York Times?
Sure.
This is an article about how do they do all this and how does this not go. They're talking to a veteran entertainment lawyer. He tells a celebrity that the tabloid will aggressively fight back, so the lawsuit will cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and will probably drag on for years. He emphasizes that in preparing their defense, the tabloid's lawyers might be given legal permission to scrutinize the celebrity's personal life. And he points out that by law, the standard for libel for public figures is high, making it a difficult case to win. The celebrity will have to prove quote-unquote actual malice, that the tabloid was not just negligent, but rather knew that the item was false and nonetheless displayed a reckless disregard for the truth. Warnings often deter lawsuits.
It's so funny that like some guy or lady found some flaw and was just like, I'm fucking running with this. We're going to make a lot of money. Because it's like, you think about the paparazzi and stuff, the people that are ruining people's lives by like constantly following them around and taking pictures. And it's like, man, that's wrong. But then there's this other guy. There's some schemy bastard that the more I think about it, the more I kind of respect. He's sitting there and he's like, how could I not do any of that work? How could I not be all up in someone's business and just make some shit up?
How can I just Photoshop a picture of this person and like 20 pounds heavier and say they're dying of something?
But they aren't even
Photoshop.
Photoshop those photos. Those are real, I believe.
So, I mean, some of them are.
Because I
some
mean,
of them
like,
are
think of
not.
any photo you take. I mean, you've watched this show enough, ladies and gentlemen. You see how we are when we just don't pay attention, or our posture gets all bad, and we're just sitting here like.
Oh no, undoubtedly. Like, I mean, and that's how they do it a lot of times with just normal paparazzi too.
They're
You
coming
just
out of their building or whatever.
Snap off 400 pictures of someone, you're gonna have one of those in there where
The
they look
Beyonce
kind of
moments.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or the I mean, anyone, any of us.
The Streisand effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, that's a very real and very fucked up thing that you're talking about, right? That doesn't just necessarily apply to just these tabloids. Like, a lot of businesses have those practices of being able to have more money and just having a bigger legal team than other businesses, and they can just beat them down.
Yeah.
People accused Apple of that for a very long time. Apple is notorious for being very aggressive about their patents and being aggressive about if anyone comes even close to it, because they know they have more money than most countries. You can't win a lawsuit against Apple. You're just not gonna.
Yeah.
So they win automatically. You can't. No one can beat Apple. It's just not happening, right? No one can beat a lot of these.
They went toe to toe with our own federal government over the San
that
Bernardino cell phone,
case.
which
And
is
they
like
won.
unfathomable. Like, everyone,
You're familiar with this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
the government just, for people that don't, the government just being like, can you just unlock this fucking phone? And they're like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it's a terrorist phone. And they're like, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, they're like,
and they
it's
went to
uncon-
court. It cost them millions of dollars. And like, and a lot of people are mad at them. You know, and I think it's
a
great.
lot of
I think
people
it's
are.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
to
think
me,
it strengthens the
but to me,
brand.
I'm like, not many people go to toe like that with the feds. You know, so like not only not only like small companies, but they're like their own government. They're like,
Oh no, I mean, but that's the thing too. Like, yeah, there are bigger companies that have lost those arguments, or like Google has lost out to the government before. But it's scary, right? When you think about that, because someone could come in and say something horrible about you, and it costs you more to tell people that they're wrong than it would for you just to shut up.
And that's
hope that
part of
goes
it
away.
too. You figure, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how many people, and I know they exist, but how many people pick up the tabloids and believe what they're reading? You know what I mean? Like, it is one of those things you pick up and in one ear out the other. Something interesting, something to gossip about, but like,
But I mean,
Right.
what's so weird to me is that like that's not like you don't gossip about it because it's like, who do you gossip to your fellow fans of these
Yeah.
things? Like,
No, but the Prince dying of AIDS things did circulate, so that people did talk about that like it was real, because it was. I mean, I've heard that, and I've had to look it up and actually and see if it's been dispelled.
sort of Snopes.
Well, no, but I mean that's the thing.
that's
It
like-
is an actual rumor that's floating
No, I
around,
hear
which
you, I
is
hear
very
you.
very sad. Like I don't know if
But
it's true or
my
not,
other thing is,
to be
do we know
honest.
what Prince died of? I haven't kept my ear to the ground on this story.
No, I mean the last thing I heard of was that he had the flu and was like over and died of basically of that. But I'm not quite. I mean, Kevin, I don't know if can you look it up real quick and see, or do you know?
I heard that he was taking
Pain medication?
Pain medication.
Yeah, he was addicted to pain pills. That's what some people were saying.
And that's what did it.
Got it.
So an overdose or some sort of
They
it like
also
broke his
gave
body.
him, like sleeping pills because he was sick and he thought he needed.
Mm.
And yeah.
I mean that again, that is every bit as maybe ridiculous as saying that he died of AIDS. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We could be prolific. This is how these rumors get kind of spread, right? Is that someone says
Little
it,
bits of misinformation and
yeah,
rumors and stuff,
misinformation,
yeah.
and you think you look at a guy like Prince who has a sort of androgynous past. You don't know what his sexuality was, but he's a fucking rock star, so you feel like he can probably fuck whoever he pleases, whenever he pleases. Is it inconceivable that a man that was really, really popular in the 80s and androgynous and probably having sex with lots of people seemingly could die of AIDS? So these are how these things get spread, right? It's not beyond the realm of people's sort of biases to buy into this shit. The more dangerous thing is when places like TMZ start spreading rumors, because they are kind of seen as a creditable media outlet.
but I mean, I think there's a difference there though. It's
Yeah.
like the things that they say are substantiated by something.
Something. But
There's
it's also
something
like,
there, though.
but it's insidious, right? Because you're
It
like,
is.
you didn't need to report that. Your whole point of being is for entertainment, but you're writing yourself off like you're CNN or the Wall Street Journal, right? Like people are supposed to believe this because you are a big enough brand that people will be like, okay, they're kind of speaking the truth, but they're also just writing about horrible shit that
That's
really is no
why
one's
those
business.
people go there, though. That's why those
Yeah.
people go to TMZ.
Yeah. But that's where it gets really, really sad, is like they could dig up some fact about you that's not newsworthy. It's a total invasion of privacy, but because you're in the public eye and because you fall under those laws or you know, you're a little less protected than average Joe, then they can totally fuck you over. A perfect example is who was it? It was Amy Schumer, right? She's been in the tabloids lately because some guy ran up to her and like forced her to take a picture with him, and she was like, this guy in front of his kid was just this big asshole
I heard about this.
who was like, you know, and she said, look, I don't want to take a picture. I'm sorry. I don't want to take that right now. And he said, you have to, this is America and we paid for you, I think were his exact words. And it sucks, but there's no ramifications against this guy. because she is a public figure, and they were on a public street, and he can't take a picture of her. That's just the way it goes. But at the same time, she's a multi-millionaire. So that's how you have to kind of balance out these
bury
things.
him
Right?
in money.
But I mean, like, so tabloids, when you say tabloids, was it the National Enquirer you're talking about that, or was it the Us Weeklies? Because I think that there's a difference there. What does Us Weekly count as? Like those gossip magazines?
Somewhere in between.
I mean,
Somewhere in between.
the word tabloids used very loosely and wasn't always necessarily used pejoratively either. Like the New York Post is considered a tabloid.
Well, it used to be about
And-
size and paper stock.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. As opposed to like broadsides and
guys
stuff.
went to college.
Magazine
and studied.
journalism.
So like the word tabloid doesn't necessarily have a pejorative meaning in its base. Like New York Post is considered a tabloid, but New York Post is like very sensational, but the New York Post is a real newspaper. So it's when I think of the word tabloid in the pejorative sense, I always think about those magazines, the Globe and
I would say Us Weekly probably falls into the tabloid.
It's like a step up.
gossip
I feel
rag.
like it's like what? It's like the National Enquirer and all of them. Then it'd be like, yeah, you're Us Weeklies. And I feel like People's up here. People's a little bit better.
People at Us, no, I would say people
Really?
at Us
Is
Weekly
People bad
are
now? I
on the
don't
same
know.
level because, and this
People
is, and
gets
I've
the
read
story
these,
from the source though.
but I've read these magazines, right? The story always has a question mark at the end of it. That's how they get away with it. Is this person pregnant? Does this person have a drug problem?
That's not People.
But I
People
mean,
has
but
a first-hand account of
those
a
are,
drug
there's
problem.
always something there. Like them being pregnant is she pregnant based on this evidence that we have? It's the same as us talking about PlayStation Neo.
No, but
like,
either way,
it
it's
going to happen
it's
based
shoddy
on this?
journalism.
It is totally, but I do
I've
think there's
read
a
these
big
articles where it's
difference.
like where they take a picture of two people that are talking on a street and they're like, these two are having an affair, and it's like, you don't know that. You don't. Like, you don't. Like, there's nothing in these two paragraphs that you read with 50 pictures all over them of like them talking to each other that has anything in there, but they're protected because it's speculation. They don't know. There's the copy's quite.
I'm looking at
it's like
I'm
ambiguous.
looking here. See, this is people.com.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough. Not many question marks. Sharon Osbourne is emotional after reports of Ozzy's infidelity, but she's not taking it quietly this time. No question mark.
Got it.
Not this time.
Now, here's one for you from 56 minutes ago. And this is a real one. This is substantiated apparently because it's exclusive. Topanga has divorced her husband. Not on the show, in real life. Danielle, official. Just putting that out there.
that's great. That's great news. That's
Just letting
really
you know,
important
breaking
news.
news. Breaking news.
But see, okay, so the question mark maybe
I know.
not
I'm gonna call
necessarily
Gia.
in
It's
a
over.
literal use, but but they often they report on people's infidelities and they don't cite sources. They'll say sources close to this person
Sure,
say, and
sure,
you're
sure,
like,
sure.
I don't really know if I buy that or not, or rumors. They actually report on rumors, and so that we talked about that a lot at IGN, right? Like, where do you draw the line? Do we report on rumors? Is that real journalism? And so that's and that's why they call them gossip rags, because they are gossip.
Sure.
And what is gossip? A bunch of fake bullshit that's probably been trumped up. Maybe there's some truth in it, but they're not sending their crackpot team from the fucking Washington Post out there.
Their crack team.
Crack team, sorry. Excuse me.
All these fucking crazy people, pens in their hand. Oh shit, it's the crackpot team. Get out of here.
Jesus Christ!
Woo,
Don't tell them
woo.
anything. Don't give them your wallet. No, but you know what I mean. They're not sending these Pulitzer Prize winning journalists out there to figure
Yeah.
out if Ben Affleck banged his nanny.
But I mean,
They
that
just-
also,
they're not.
because that's the whole problem with it is like entertainment journalism to that extent, gossip rags or just TMZ or whatever, is like it's so superficial. It is the superficial. Like, that is another successful.
Yeah.
Here's a bunch of fucking photos of somebody in the bikini.
Yep.
It's totally like I enjoy this person in a movie, so yes, I'd love to see them in a bikini or hear about what Ben Affleck's doing to the maid or whatever. It's like whatever.
nanny.
Sorry, my apologies.
Well, but I will give a shout out to the superficial though, because he's on the nose about it as humanly possible. He doesn't give a fuck. The guy that writes that site is an evil genius, because he will just straight up be like, I'm posting this because they're boobs and I know you want to look at them, and that's it. But he says it a lot more eloquently and funnier than I did. A little bit more, maybe 10% more. But I do give a shout out to that site. Unlike TMZ, which I feel like is just, this is, I guess, why I have a problem with places like TMZ, not so much Us Weekly, because it is in a kind of a more positive spirit, but TMZ just seems like it's so fucking negative.
It's
Like,
drama.
they're just evil people
They feed on the drama
who are
and shit.
just, perpetuating this horrible, horrible feeling that they're putting out into the world.
And it's that one dude that used to be on People's Court. I used to like
Harvey.
him, Harvey Levin.
I'm a lawyer.
I loved Harvey Levin. Harvey Levin was my dude.
Now, real quick, do you know he's still in the People's Court?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, he's double because he's the guy who used to be out with the crowd.
I know that's still his job. And not great that I haven't watched People's Court, obviously, but in the last 9 months, I've caught an episode of People's Court and put together that it was new. It wasn't like old. You know what I mean? He was still.
Now, Tim, question for you. Did you know that People's Court is still on?
No.
Neither did I.
Absolutely not.
No
Did you
idea.
ever watch People's Court? Does
Absolutely
Judge
not.
Wapner mean anything to you?
Not at
You
all.
suck.
No.
Is Judge
What
Judy
about
the same thing?
What about Doug
it's
Llewellyn?
Nope.
You remember when Doug Llewellyn got
he
bit
the
by
guy
a
from-
German Shepherd when it was leaving the courtroom?
Mad TV.
I hate you.
Where do you find time to watch all these shows, Greg?
That was growing up. That was Grandma Miller's house.
The court shows were awesome in the 90s. too.
Mom and Dad loved People's Court. Sometimes I remember getting picked up from Grandma Miller's and we'd watch it in their bedroom or whatever.
There were some amazing ones too.
crazy.
Judge Mills Lane was one of them.
Oh, I
Judge Mills
remember.
Lane?
Yeah, I
do
remember that.
He was
name.
the boxing ref. Or
Yeah, and then there was the black guy with the
Judge
glasses.
Joe Brown.
Judge Joe Brown was one of them, but there was a black guy.
Man up.
Yeah, man. That was a joke.
Mathis. Judge Mathis.
Judge Mathis was another one.
But didn't Judge
He
Judy
had, like, the
come
glasses.
from this pedigree of
Yeah.
judges?
Yeah, he did. She's just the most popular. Judge Judy makes something like $35 million a year.
She's still
Judy's
making new
the
episodes,
bomb.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
She
fucking
should.
awesome. I have a
She
signature.
fucking
So
lays
one of
down
our
the
fans
law,
gave me a
dude.
signature of hers, which I'm like, this is awesome. And a glossy shot of Judge Judy with a little doily around her.
I always had respect
Her
for
robe.
her, and I always had respect for that show just because, oh yeah, she always had a little like weird
Yeah.
teapot doily
Yeah.
kind of thing coming out of her robe. Because they always said the shit that I was thinking right when that person opened their mouth, and I always respected that. And I'm like, this can't be real. And then it turns out it was real, right? Like they were actually really real
these-
court cases.
Yeah, they're basically. Well, no, they are, but
They get bought out of the system though.
Yeah, they're mediated cases. Like they sell the rights to mediate to Judge Judy or
Okay,
whatever.
so they're not going down an official public record.
as far as I understand, like both sides can win money and stuff like that. Like
I think it's they both get.
We've talked about this in the
has
past.
They get Tim or Kevin's not a real hand. I don't mean figures. But I mean I think there's a pot of money that they each get a
The
base
judgment
amount,
comes- yeah.
and then the judgment plays into that somehow, whether it's taken out of that.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's why-
this
that's how
is
they
taking
get-
a strange turn on.
That's how they
tabloids.
get people to go on to these shows. God bless Judge Judy. Judge Judy GIFs/GIFs, depending on how you want to say it. Some of the best things on the internet of like the amazing,
Of all time.
amazing. There's amazing. She's so emotive, dude. Like
Yeah,
without saying
no.
anything, it's awesome.
Her eye rolls.
like the one with the, which is like
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fucking like you are so. You think I'm a curmudgeon?
Oh no, she
Jesus
is your
Christ.
She's the Waldorf to your Statler. Can we come to a consensus right now, just for me, on the word GIF or GIF as a kind of funny? What is the
No, there's
kind of
no
funny
way, there's no-
official ruling on this?
This is a whole topic.
This is stop. This should be a topic. That's 100%
I'll
correct.
put it
This
down
should
on
be
my
a
list.
topic.
I'll
This
put
can
it
be
down on
next
my
week's
list for next
topic for
week.
you. Okay.
done.
Thank you. And thank you, Tim, for that topic. And thank you, Patreon producer Adam Garcia, for supporting us over on patreon.com/kindoffunny. Of course, follow him on Twitter and Instagram, right?
Yes.
At Adam M. Garcia. He made what for us?
He made the kind of funny circle logo shirt, the blue one.
No, I was like, the one I'm...
Kindoffunny.com/store.
Gotcha.
Beautiful
No, I think
design.
Andy Cortez
Fucking
made
love that shit.
Yeah, Andy Cortez.
made
Fucking
that. Doing a whole bunch
Andy
of cool
from
shit.
Rooster Teeth made this.
Andy from Rooster Teeth. What a
Big
fucking asshole.
deal.
Fuck you, Andy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. If you didn't know, each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring
I
a
like
random
that.
topic of discussion for your amusement. Yeah, Nick slamming his head in the microphone. I like that.
It sounded great for Kevin.
If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindoffunny where you can toss us a few bucks, get every episode early along with a bunch of exclusive
Kevin's headphones
perks
aren't
and
even plugged in.
goodies. If you have no bucks to toss, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindoffunny where you get the show broken up topic by topic, day by day, until we post it as one big video and one big MP3 the following Friday. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.